Dr. Allen, thank you for your statement, and the written statement of Dr. Allen will be entered into the hearing record. And with that, we're going to go ahead and proceed to questions. I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes. Mr. Jacobs, you said you didn't know before September 20th whether you had enough money to pay veterans benefits without the $2.88 billion. How much money did you have on September 19th?
Congressman, when we first identified the risk of a shortfall based on the updated projections, the best estimate we had at the time was the funding request that we made. We provided subsequently monthly status of fund reports showing the spend actuals versus our projections. And what we were seeing is that we were slightly under plan for the CMP account by about 0.5% and slightly over plan by about another 0.5% for the readjustment benefits accounts. We didn't have a sense of where we were when I came and testified. And historically, we know that we have a workforce that works very hard going into the end of the fiscal year, which is why we were able to achieve the 2.5 million claim figure that we had updated back in June. So when I came here and testified, I continued to believe that we needed it. It was a conservative estimate based on a worst case scenario. We found out after the case that in fact we didn't, and that was based on a number of factors. It takes us several weeks to be able to reconcile a number of those accounts, and once we were able to reconcile it, we found out that we did in fact not need the money.
So on September 20th, rather than saying like you told us that you were short, you just weren't absolutely sure, you really didn't know.
We had a sense that that was right for the CMP account, but we needed to take the time to do the accounting. And for the readjustment benefits, we needed, I think there were about 14 different pay files that had to go and we had to reconcile.
Okay, when you realized that, when did you think it was necessary to come back to Congress? Didn't you think that would have been a quick move you should have done?
We wanted to verify that the accounting was correct, and so once we were able to do that in partnership with the department and OMB, and we made those notifications, we then came.
Once you realized it, and you decided to tell Congress, who made that decision to say we better tell Congress?
We did that collectively. From the beginning, we have worked to be as transparent as possible to share information. That's why in July, when we identified this risk, we made the decision to notify you.
Dr. Aldenhar, you revised your shortfall down to 6.6 because you actually spent much less in September than you thought. Why did you not realize this in November?
So it takes about just over a month on average to close the books and really understand exactly how much we obligated and spent in the prior fiscal year. I'm under oath, Mr. Chairman. We verified the numbers, as my colleague, Mr. Jacobs, just mentioned. And as soon as we had that verification, we ran the numbers by our colleagues in the Office of Management and OMB. We came forward with it. The timing wasn't anything other than the time that it took to verify those numbers.
So you never know in real time what money is being spent, and you don't know until months later, and that's the way the budget works?
I would say weeks later, Mr. Chairman, but I'll ask Ms. Duke in a moment to sort of describe how this works. We do not yet have a real-time financial tracking system. We have a plan to implement that would allow us to get much more fidelity on how much we're obligating on any given day and any given time. But Ms. Duke, please, thank you.
Yes, as Dr. Elnahal said, we've been engaged in a financial management business transformation for several years, a large part of which is the fact that our systems, when they gather the data from across our diverse enterprise, we have to make sure that the data coming in is accurate and that we validate it at every level. This is something our auditors have been aware of for years and have noted in our findings, and it is something that we are actively working to resolve.
Well, to both of you, I've been around here 10 years, and I believe both of you worked at VA whenever I first got here. I may be right on that. The VA's budget's been growing for a long time, and we dealt with it, and we've dealt with shortfalls. But the budget's never been this screwed up as far as what Congress sees, okay? We haven't had people come to us and ask us for large amounts of money, and oh my gosh, the sky is falling, then just to give the large amount of money, and then all of a sudden, no, we really didn't need that. You've got to understand that your credibility is shot, and that we've got to have a better system of being able told, we as members of Congress, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, our job is not only to pass legislation, it's also to make sure that we provide you with the money to operate this system that is vitally important to those people who need it most and that we're obligated to pay. But we can't do that unless you have competent people that actually get it right. And not coming to us, all of a sudden, we made sure before we left here on the break that we passed the 2.88. Had to do it. By golly, our veterans won't get paid. We do, and then all of a sudden we get a letter that comes back, we got almost $6 billion in that. That is a miss. I agree with the ranking member in his opening statement that, we're going to take care of our veterans. He and I agree on that. But he also, I think the idea of just handing you money with not oversight, this is the problem. We have to get this straightened out, and the only way we get it straightened out is that your agency actually gives us accurate numbers on time. We've got to have it. That oversight, because I'm going to tell you, every one of those people that you serve, that have wore the uniform, and the families that sacrificed, you know what? They pay taxes too. So it's a double-edged sword. With that, I'll yield to the ranking member for his questions.